Welcome to another edition of the Pioneer Sports Report. I'm Ryan Zook and this is Richard Mead. We'll start off today with the Ferris State hockey team, which plays Minnesota State in the WCHA semifinals on Friday. Minnesota State's the second-ranked team in the country and the top-seeded team in the tournament, and it's going to be a tough test for Ferris State.
You know, Ferris State's had an up-and-down season throughout the year, but how do you feel they played in the postseason, and do you feel like they're going to be able to make a run going forward?
Well, they're on a 7-1-1 stretch right now, and what's funny about it, they had a 7-game losing streak in midway through the season, and it started with Minnesota State. They lost 4 straight to them, 3 straight to Bowling Green, who's also still in the tournament. And that's a tough stretch, and 2 of the top teams, but they found their game. Yeah, CJ Mott's allowed just over a goal a game in the last 9 games, and Minnesota State knows that. And their coach on the WCHA conference call on Tuesday said they're not looking at those previous games as a measuring stick right now. They're gauging them off their first round series against Bemidji State. Ferris State was able to go in there, win 2 games to sweep the series, and Minnesota State went into Bemidji not too long ago and got the split. I mean, it should be a pretty close game, but I think Ferris State's runs are an end. I mean, Minnesota State, the top offense in the league, allowing the second fewest goals. They have multiple scoring lines. They get production from their back end with 2 of the most productive defensemen. I mean, I just see too many weapons for them, so we'll see.
You know, despite playing a team that was at one time ranked number 1 in the national standings in NCAA Division I hockey, do you feel like Daniels is still pretty confident in his team in this matchup?
I know Minnesota State's been able to put a few power play goals in during the year, and if they stay out of the box and don't give them those opportunities, it could go either way. But yeah, I think Daniels is feeling pretty confident. I know I talked to Chad McDonald this week, Justin Buzzio, and they're just going to go in and try and feel like they're the underdog, so they don't really have any pressure. So we'll see.
For Ferris State football, they start spring practice on Friday, coming off of one of their better years in Ferris football history, led by Jason Vanderlyn, you know, Harlan Hill Award winner, which is huge for, you know, I mean, any quarterback, especially one at Ferris State University. It's recollection that, you know, that this team is getting better. They are growing. We're going to see, you know, how they do. I mean, we're going to get a first glance at them this year, coming off of a year where, you know, they made it to the NCAA Division II playoffs, lost first round. But I really still think that there's a lot of potential in this team going forward. You know, they struggled a little bit last year when they met some really good defenses. Guys that, you know, I mean, they're always going to key on Jason Vandal, and he's the best player on their team. And you know, he's their captain, he's their quarterback. He's, you know, he is their offense, and they run it through him. But you know, when they met good defenses, you know, it got a little bit drawn out, and they were able to shut them down a little bit. But I think this year they're going to focus a little bit more on spreading the ball around a little bit more. Jason Vandal's still going to get his yards through the air and on the ground. I mean, that's who he is. That's the player that he is. But you know, I'm really confident in Tony Anese's team. I'm really confident in him as a coach. And I think that, you know, they can make another run this year, but you know, it's going to be nice to see them, you know, early on in spring camp.
And it's hard to get a really accurate gauge in spring football, but it's nice weather out. You get to be outside, and I know the guys always like to put the pads on and get out there again. So I mean, spring football is enjoyable, and you get to talk to some of the players, coaches. They're more relaxed during that time of the year, and we'll see what they have.
Yeah, this is going to be, you know, like I said, our first glimpse of them this year, and it's all leading up to their spring game, Crimson and Gold game, on April 18th at noon at Top Taggart Field in Big Rapids. So I'm excited for this season for sure.
Reed City boys basketball team was the last local team to end their season. They lost to Cadillac 53-50 in the regional semifinals, and they had a good run, first district championship in 22 years. So.
Absolutely, big achievement for them. I mean, historically for Reed City, this is, you know, definitely going to help the program going forward. And you know, they played a Cadillac team that is used to being in the playoffs. You know, they're used to being on that stage, and you know, they showed the confidence. And you know, unfortunately for Reed City, you know, it was a new stage for them, and it showed a little bit. But you know, close game. It came down to one last shot to tie it up, and you know, they just couldn't get it done. But
just didn't fall.
Just didn't fall. Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's it for basketball this year. All right, thanks guys for joining us on Pioneer Sports Report, and catch us next week, and make sure to pick up a copy of the Pioneer and catch up on the rest of your local action.